But the comment back when we were looking at the north and the south, Shaler was pretty adamant at that time of saying, we don't want to go with anybody. And I don't know if that's when some of these conversations took place, but obviously things have changed in the last 6 years. But
you know, I think things have changed, and I think right now is the right time to start these conversations with all of our surrounding neighbors, because I think there is some interest out there in almost every one of them in doing something differently. So,
a thing that you probably don't know a lot, and Barb and I've talked about this, is that Storm Lake has changed the ball game on many of the schools around their particular situation. They used to be in what we call the League of Schools, and they used to go together with Alta, Shaler, Crestland, and Newfoundland, and they used to have courses together. And putting them at a central site, and they all work together, and they ship some students out to these districts, and also they ship them back and forth the other way. Storm Lake decided not to do that recently. Well, that sort of pulled the rug out from underneath some of these smaller districts and didn't like it. And they still don't like it. But they lost some of these courses that they had, which relates to this. And I would think that a comment or two in relation to that would be fantastic, because they're wanting that.
Ron, do you teach for the League of Schools?
I teach for the League, yeah.
And so do you have students, you teach at Storm Lake?
I teach at Storm Lake at Iowa Central, but I have students from all Sioux Central, St. Mary's, Alta, Newfoundland, and Shaler Crescent can take my classes, but Storm Lake was the vast majority of all those classes. Newfoundland had auto body, Alta had building trades, Newfoundland had the nurses program, and Storm Lake had the philosophy of that, well, the majority of Storm Lake students don't have a license, so they had to transport them to those. Cost of diesel, and if they had the majority of the students, they should have it centrally located, and they brought it all to town. And there was, last March, there were some really hard feelings. Really, I think
so that's very much what
yeah, we do have students from all those schools. Yeah, they ship to me, but I'm at the Iowa Central building of Storm Lake, so it's a little different.
Sure.
Anyway, to dovetail into that, I want to make sure that when we get the letter, I would say to get the letter off very soon, in this month, and maybe your signature and maybe Mr. Brotherson's signature on the same letter would be fantastic. But they are definitely going to share some sports next year. It isn't an if, it's going to happen. And
they meaning Shaler Crestland is going to share sports with
yeah.
someone other than...
No, they don't know who they're going to share with, but they're on the second year of their football contract with Holstein next year. And decisions have got to be made. I guess with only 8 girls in the basketball thing, I think that's a guess. But I think that would be my guess as to what they're, another one that they're interested in. Obviously, you can't go too far with 8 girls in basketball, 9 to 12. But it's in the conversation.
Is there something wrong with us initiating the letter and sending it out then from East Sac County to the rest of the schools? Just a matter of when you decide what to say.
Well, and I think the discussion here is very similar to the discussion of WLVA, minus your comments, of course. But there was no, the principals were at the WLVA board meeting. They were supportive of communication. I mean, I don't think it has to wait till a joint board meeting. And I know that if I drafted something and had a couple board members from each board look at it and say, yeah, that's the gist of what we want, we can do it before the joint board meeting, by all means. Are you in agreement as a board that we'd be talking about everybody that touches Lakeview, Auburn, and Sac districts, East Sac County, probably other than the Carroll School District?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep, we could get something put together yet this week and the first couple of days next week. And
run that by, so we don't get accused of recruiting, run that by something legal, because we don't want to end up like Manson
Yep.
and the issue.
Yep.